So Ayush, first of all, again, congratulations on scoring 760. An incredible improvement from a 650 earlier. So let's talk about your GMAT preparation. So how did you think about taking the exam, and how did you go about doing that right from the very beginning?
Okay, so it was very much clear for me that I wanted to do an MBA from abroad, not from
Mhm.
India. So the only option was to give GMAT first, get ample amount of work experience, build a profile, and then apply. So first hurdle was to clear the GMAT exam. So when I initially started preparing for the exam, I referred to Manhattan.
Mhm.
I referred to basic study material of a coaching center in Delhi.
Okay.
And and that was about it. And I read various articles on GMAT forums and all those things, how the exam is like, what is the pattern, what you should do, what you should not do, and all those things.
Mhm.
So that was my initial base of study material which I referred to. At that point of time, I was scoring somewhere in the range of 48, 47 to 49 in quant,
Mhm.
and verbal was in the range of 30 to 34. It used to vary a lot. Verbal
Okay.
was not consistent.
Okay.
And I read one of the articles on GMAT Club forums that it was quite misleading, that it said that initial questions are very important in GMAT. So you focus more on the initial questions and you can worry less about the last few questions. So what was happening with me was that there were a lot of questions I used to guess in the end. There was a clear case of time management, which I had. In quant, I was guessing around 3, 4 questions. In verbal,
Wow.
I was guessing around 5, 6 questions in verbals. Last few questions, and I think it was a disaster for. It was a recipe for disaster. Um,
So just to really clarify on that right now,
yeah.
in quant, it's a much bigger disaster than it's on verbal.
Okay.
Just because of how the scoring, the way the algorithm works is slightly, I mean, the principle is the same, but the tuning of the algorithm is slightly different in quant and verbal. So in quant, it's a way bigger disaster than non-verbal.
Yeah. So that totally reflects in my score of like scoring 46 in quant.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was the thing. But this thing does not really reflect in the mock papers I was giving. I was scoring somewhere in the range of 700, but it was definitely not 650, in the range of 650.
Okay.
So I went ahead, I gave the exam,
Hmm.
and the score was obviously not up to my expectations.
What were
So
you expecting? 700 or?
in the range of 700. There were times I scored 720. I scored 720, 730 in GMAT mocks, in GMAT prep mocks.
Hmm.
So I think that was the best indicator. People used to tell me that whatever you score on GMAT prep plus 20, minus 20, that would be the broad range in which you would score in the main exam. But that technically didn't work out.
Okay.
So
So let's kind of stop here about your first attempt.
yeah, yeah,
You did a coaching institute in Delhi, and then you did
yeah,
the Manhattan books. So in
yeah,
terms of your learning up to
yeah.
650, because 650 is a really decent platform, I would say. So where do you think, I mean, if you were to attribute the learning to the coaching institute in Delhi versus Manhattan books, how would you attribute it in quant and verbal?
I think quant was something which I felt I am good at. It was not never the case that okay I would struggle in quant. In fact, I was always aiming to score 50 in quant, and rest I would compensate here and there with verbal.
Okay.
Uh, but that didn't work out in the main exam. That's a separate story. But in verbal, in terms of when you refer to Manhattan, when you refer to coaching center materials, they do tell you how the exam pattern is, how you should approach the question. But one issue was that Manhattan is extremely technical. They use a lot of jargons, whereas the tuition material was not holistic. It covered various aspects which are covered in the exam, but they're
Mhm.
not holistic. Like they won't tell you that okay how you can tackle each and every question.
Okay.
So that was one thing. Like for example, if I only know one rule about ing modifier, and I would apply that rule to every question which I see an ing modifier, and again that does not work out. There are 3, 4 rules. I think there are 4, 5 rules which which you need to know about the ing modifier, and that's how you approach the question, and that's how you get the questions correct.
So
So
one
that
was
thing was
comprehensive and too technical. The other was not comprehensive enough. It was like a
yeah,
hammer. You do that every time. Okay.
yeah. And time management was an issue. I was not being able to solve questions quickly, especially in sentence correction.
Okay.
Reading comprehension, I was more or less sorted in the sense that I knew how to approach the question. I think what you teach in e-GMAT is also more or less what is there in various coaching institutes, what they're saying, how to approach reading comprehension. So the only thing left in reading comprehension is your comprehension speed, which I think you can improve if you start reading stuff, practicing RCs daily. You can work out. For me, the tougher part was sentence correction and critical reasoning, especially sentence correction. I think usually you should solve certain questions less than 1 minute, few questions roughly around 1 minute. But I was taking a lot of time in sentence correction, so which was leading me to guess a lot more questions towards the end. And even the accuracy was an issue at that point of time.
So then you basically were done with 650. You said, okay, I needed a different approach. It was, I think, when did you purchase our course and when was the 650 attempt?
650 attempt was in December. I think at that point of time, I bought only the sentence correction package. Not the entire package, but it was really towards the end. I just quickly glanced through it. What are the rules? And I didn't go step by step. Okay, these are the questions. This is the rule. You practice certain questions. Then you practice those types of questions.
So you didn't go through the proper study sequence that was provided to you.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm weak in this thing. I want to know that thing. I will just bits and pieces. I refer to your sentence correction portion. And that was pretty much about it.
Okay. So then post your exam, what did you do? After, you're talking about the preparation for the second attempt.
Yeah. So my 650 attempt was on 27 December. The 760 attempt was in April, 29th April. So two things were pretty much clear there. I need to work on quant. Quant, I was taking for granted that, okay, I can definitely score roughly around 48, 49 quant, which was not the case. Second was, I really need to improve my verbal. And for that, I need to improve my speed. I can't be guessing around 6-7 questions towards the end. So I took the entire package of e-GMAT, starting right from everything. It covered everything. So I did sentence correction step by step, followed everything, whatever is there in the curriculum which you provide. And similar thing was for critical reasoning. Initially, I was skeptical of using pre-thinking. I felt that it will increase the time I take to solve the questions. I attended a couple of webinars. It seemed logical. Then I started practicing it. So I think it's a gradual process. You develop speed over time. It's not like, okay, if someone tells you do pre-thinking and next day, okay, I would be good at it and I would be able to solve questions in less than 1 minute, 30 seconds. It doesn't really work like that. So as and when you start practicing questions, you also start developing logical things. Okay, these are the 4 or 5 situations in which the author might be thinking, and it then really speeds up the process.
So I want to just say one thing. Thank God it takes some time, because otherwise everyone would be scoring 760.
Yeah. So you practice for 1 month, you practice for 20 days, and you start seeing the difference. That okay, it's there. And one thing is the surety is also there. It's not that guesswork. Okay, I'm confused between 2 options and I randomly mark one of the options which I feel correct. I think the surety part also comes. It brings in the confidence that okay, I can do the question and I'm sure about that question, that this is correct. So that thing was really there in the critical reasoning bit. I think that really helped. Sentence correction, one thing about e-GMAT is it's very holistic. Like it covers everything. It's nothing that would come on the exam which is not there, which is not covered in the e-GMAT curriculum. So it covered everything, right from all the rules, principle, how you approach the question, how you do it. And I started practicing questions, a lot of questions from Scholaranium. I think I used to practice every day. If there is a small test, you can create a test of 35 minutes. You practice 20 questions in 35 minutes, and that would be it. So I used to practice it daily. I think for me, GMAT was more about a rhythm exam. You really need to be in the rhythm of solving questions every day so that you can replicate that performance on the exam. And the Scholaranium questions really help. The quality of questions is really good. And once you see the solutions, then even the explanation is really good. So even if you mark the question correctly, you really need to go through the explanation. Okay, did you mark it for the right reasons? So once you start covering all these aspects, you really develop the knowledge of the content and how questions are being asked and how the sentences are being framed, focusing on the meaning of the sentence, not just going by the grammatical rules. I think meaning is very important. That thing was missing in my initial preparation, that I never used to think about what the sentence intends to convey. So that thing came in, and I started focusing on the meaning of the sentence. So these were the couple of areas which I improved on. And I started reading a lot of material, articles in newspaper just to improve my comprehension speed. So these were the things I did in these 3-4 months to improve my verbal.
I just want to add one thing. When you were saying all those things about Scholaranium, I remember, exactly 2 years back, we were finalizing Scholaranium, and Pyle and I were, it was this time in end of December, when Pyle and I were just looking at all the solutions in Scholaranium, and we spent, I think, so it was from the 20th of December till the 15th of January, pretty much rewriting 60% of the solutions in Scholaranium. And then we planned our vacation. We said, okay, we have to get this right. And when you say that you learn from the solution, this is like music to our ears. So,
and even the solutions which are given for OG questions, I think that are also just amazing, because sometimes you really don't. At least I didn't make any sense of the reasoning which they provided, that why a particular answer is correct. Maybe they're following a different methodology to get to the correct answer. But when I go through your solution, it really makes sense on, okay, why a particular answer choice was correct. So I think it was just a fabulous thing.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Okay, so this is what you did on verbal. Now let's talk about your exam. Time management was always a concern for you. So how was this attempt? How did it go about?
So quant went like a breeze. Like I was very comfortable. I finished the quant section, I guess, 5 minutes before the time ends. So there was a lot of time in quant. I was quite confident I am at least scoring 49 in quant. I knew around 36 questions out of 37 questions.
Okay.
So now came the verbal bit. Initially, what I was doing was that I was taking a lot of time in the initial questions. Like there were times that I used to spend just 4 minutes on the first question.
Okay.
So even in the 760 attempt, I think I ended up spending around 2-3 minutes on the first question. But then I picked up pace. I really don't know how the verbal section went, because you really can't predict that, okay, you're marking the questions correctly, or like you can make out in quant how things are progressing. But I felt that the initial section, like initial first 15-20 questions were extremely difficult. Like I felt that, okay, I don't know on what basis I'm marking this answer, but I was obviously applying those logical rules and the meaning thing. I went through that, and I felt that the last few questions, like last 10-15 questions, were extremely easy. And I started thinking in between the exam that, okay, I think I have done something very bad. Why are such easy questions coming? I don't know what was happening in the verbal section, frankly speaking, but I was really comfortable towards the second half of the verbal section. I felt the questions are quite simple, and I was able to attend them. But I could see that, okay, there are certain rules which are being applied in the last few questions also, which I didn't know earlier. It was because of the situation I am in right now that I felt that, okay, this question is easy. So that was it. So once the exam ended, I was not really sure that how much I would score in verbal. I was definitely sure that I would score roughly around 14-15 points. But once I scored the score, it was just amazing. It was an absolute beautiful feeling to see that score in front of my screen.
I can imagine that. I mean, it's just to see that 99 percentile to be in the top percentile.
It was a beautiful feeling. I can't describe that in words.
So first thing I saw was you live with your parents, I'm assuming. Is that correct?
At that time, I was living with my parents. Right now, I'm working in Bombay. So, so I'm not living with my parents.
You sent, I saw your address on your resume. It's actually very close to where I live in Delhi, or where I lived in Delhi when I was in Delhi.
Where do you used to live?
My parents still live in east of Kailash, so.
Oh, that's quite nearby.
Then our office in Delhi is in Jangpura, so the e-GMAT office.
Okay.
So we don't market it to anyone.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that there is an office in Jangpura.
It's an R&D office, so it's not a coaching center. We don't even have a board outside it. and
Yeah.
for good reason, because we have a lot of students over there. So
Okay.
so essentially, it's we have an entire, I think, about what, 5 to 6,000 square feet office over there.
Oh, that's quite big.
So 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 how did your parents feel about it?
I think they were really happy. Still remember the joy my parents had. It was an amazing feeling. I think it was more for them to make them proud.
Okay.
So it was a good feeling.
Okay. So Ayush, what's next for you? This is, I mean, you have an amazing score now. You have a really good background. You seem to have done some interesting things. Overall, you're in your third organization right now.
Yeah, that is a bit of concern that I've changed too many organizations.
But
But
if they're for the right reasons, then no.
yeah, okay. So I have around 3.5 years of work experience,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever colleges I wish to apply, I usually see that the average work experience there is around 4 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt that I need to work for another 1.5 years before I apply. So I
Remember, you even after you get an admit, you still have an year before you join.
that I'm aware of. Yeah. So I plan to apply next year.
You
So by
should.
that time, so I would have 4 years of work experience by that, and by the time I join the course, I would have 5 years of work experience.
Yes.
So I plan to apply next year.
Mm-hmm.
That is the goal right now. I also have clear 2 levels of CFA. So I'm also giving level 3 in June. So by that point of time, I felt that CFA would be over if I pass the exam, and I would be a CFA charter holder. So it will add to my overall profile that okay, I've
A bit, not a
completed.
whole lot.
Yeah, but does make a bit of sense that anyways, if I'm working for another 1 year, then why not complete another degree and then apply for one?
Again, it depends on what else you could do in your current job, because everything takes time.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
it's not, I mean, the assumption really over there that you're making is that there isn't a whole lot more that you can do in your current job.
Yeah,
Take on
definitely.
more responsibilities, lead more things, etc.
Yeah, that is definitely there, and because I've joined this job in May only, so if I would have applied this year, even the recommendation bid would have been out of place because I've been in this
No, I
organization.
agree. So I think my point really is you're going for the CFA level 3. I think when I look at your profile, here is what I'm looking at. And again, we haven't still talked about what you want to do.
Yeah,
But essentially, I don't think anyone would really doubt your ability to take on finance and do advanced finance, even
okay,
done till date. And the fact that you've already cleared 2 levels. So the
yeah,
incremental benefit of a CFA level 3 is going to be limited.
okay.
Okay. Whereas what people would think of it is this way. I mean, what's your end goal? Where do you want to be 10 years from now?
So 10 years from now, I would like to be working in the P industry,
Private equity.
uh, private equity.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Doing what?
but doing what? Doing investing money in portfolio companies.
So making
So,
deals.
yeah, yeah.
Making deals means it's not just about financial modeling. And this is something. So have you seen the resume webinar that Maria conducts?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Maria Wickwilla is a Harvard Business School graduate. She's the founder of
Okay,
a company called Applicant Lab, and
okay,
and she helps. So she's built. Think of it as e-GMAT, equivalent of e-GMAT in the admission consulting world. So it's a self-help tool that
okay,
you go through in a
okay,
fashion. So
okay,
she conducts this webinar, which was very focused on resume, but essentially the essence of it applies to your application as well. And what she really says is, what these tools are looking at in your resume
yeah,
uh, is not your technical skills, but your leadership skills, because those skills matter uh, 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 when when essentially you graduate and 5 to 7 years from now. And she
yeah,
gives the example of her husband, and his profile is very similar to yours. He was
okay,
a financial analyst prior to his MBA. He is
okay,
now a CFO of an entertainment company. Okay.
okay,
And what she said was the skills that mattered to him before he joined his MBA were advanced Excel modeling skills and
yeah,
that matter to you. But the skills that really matter today in his job are negotiation skills. When you think about doing deals, that's what really is there. The ability to negotiate, and then once you make a deal, the ability to lead a company and turn around. Right?
Yes.
And which is very different from CFA skills, frankly.
Yeah. So, but you still need some basic amount of financial knowledge.
Oh, you already have proven that. That's sometimes no one's doubting that ability of yours.
Yeah.
Right. Had you not proven that, the CFA would have absolutely helped.
Okay.
All your profile is finance.
Yeah.
So the thing that I'm really questioning you is there a possibility, since we're still in December, between now and September, for you to take up leadership in projects, and for that to come up as a part of your letter of recommendation?
Okay.
That would be golden.
Okay.
And if you go for your CFA level 3, that you won't you won't have that mental bandwidth.
Yeah.
I'll send you the recording of the resume webinar. You should listen to that.
That would be really helpful.
So think about that, because I mean, no one doubts your ability to do finance given what you do.
Yep. Got your point. Valid point. Yeah.
It's like saying, can Toyota build a reliable car? Of course, they've been doing that for decades.
Yes.
Can Microsoft create an operating system? Yes. So think about that.
Sure.
You go towards L3, because you already have 2 levels. You've cleared 2 levels. You've proven you have an amazing GMAT score. Your quant score is amazing. You've proven all of that with regards to your capability to do analytical stuff.
Yeah.
It's the personal, the
leadership skills which need to come out. Yeah.
Which need to come out. And the good thing is, unlike most people, you still have 7 months, 8 months.
Yeah. Yes.
A lot of the benefit of this could be that if you prove yourself in a project over here, some of your prior work also gets viewed from that lens. And those capabilities come.
Got it.
So there's that dual benefit.
Yeah.
So is there any other area where I can help you?
As of now, I haven't really thought about applying to various colleges because I felt that I still have time. So I was focusing more on my profile in terms of I was thinking of associating with various NGOs and working in order to diversify in terms of broaden my overall profile. So that was the thing I was looking at right now. As I'm very much clear, I want to pursue a career in finance. So would like to know, what is your opinion in terms of what kind of colleges I should target? I know for a fact that, water is something which is highly regarded in terms of...
I mean, pretty much all top schools are very good in this space. So you have Stern, you have GSB Chicago, which is really good. So I mean, I would really say, look at schools, look at their centers of excellence, the kind of work that they are doing. Harvard's very good in private equity as well.
Okay.
So again, research on schools, not from a ranking standpoint, but from the work, the professor standpoint. You can do 2 things. One is, rather than looking at anyone else's recommendation, you would know what you're getting into and you'll be very sure of it. The second thing is, as a part of your B school essays, when it comes to why the school or your association with the school, you would be way more certain about that response, which is a very important thing, and which also comes up in the interview, by the way.
Yeah.
So I will show you how to, I can tell you the way to go about doing this is researching schools, talking to students at schools.
Yeah.
Every school has a private equity club. You can really see the level of activity that club has been involved in. So do that, do that due diligence on your part.
Yeah.
The other piece is, you said you want to work with NGOs. If you have not, again, what matters is not whether you work with an NGO, but the leadership.
Yeah.
So I don't think you'd be able to do a whole lot more of that. And frankly, it's not required that you work with an NGO.
Yeah. That is there.
So think about, you have an amazing GMAT score, very relevant work experience. You're not a typical IT guy. Think about what is the next key thing that is missing in your profile and fix that. You can probably do one thing really, really well.
Okay. One, and that thing, according to you, should be taking some leadership roles.
There's nothing that replaces leadership.
Okay.
I can tell you that.
Okay.
So, I mean, frankly, yes, people worry. The reason why people like to see some extracurricular activities, and you have extracurricular activities,
Yeah.
because they don't want bookworms in school. They want people who can
Yeah.
interact with people.
Okay.
Extracurricular is a classic way of showing that.
Yeah.
Leadership is another way of showing that you can interact with people.
Yeah. One thing I've heard is that even in all these top schools, that the kind of people are applying, it's a given that they're good in academics. They have a very good GMAT score. They're coming from really good backgrounds in terms of education. So one thing that would really differentiate you would be the extracurriculars and other things which you have done in life. I'm not sure how does that really
So, I
work.
mean, here is something, here is the thing. Think about it rationally, not about, you're going to a top business school. What does a top business school care about?
Your overall personality and leadership skills.
Yeah, building leaders for the next generation.
Next
That's all
generation.
it's
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Right? And when you have to build leaders for the next generation, what you're looking for are people who are focused, who are achievers,
Yeah.
not people who do everything that comes their way.
Okay. Interesting point.
Right? Because if you do everything that comes your way, think about your life till date. There are lots and lots of things that entice you that come your way. Had you done everything, had you participated in everything that came your way, you wouldn't be where you are today.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not about, I mean, it is about really saying that you are, as a potential candidate, a good potential leader for tomorrow.
Okay.
And I think your GMAT score, your technical skills are there. What needs to be proven are your leadership skills.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not, no one's going to really say, hey, this guy's worked for these 3 NGOs, but if you don't have any achievements, so we should pick him because the other guys did not. What they're going to really say is the impact that you made on, based on what you worked on.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what matters.
The impact matters.
The impact matters, yes.
Yeah.
So